Bases, wooden bases. What should you know to start off with the wooden bases? Okay, so these are the hardwood bases that you can get. They're 3/4 inch thick. That's the minimum you should have. If you get thinner down to 1/2 inch or even 1/4, like some of the other ones we have, you'll need to reinforce them underneath with a thicker base. So you still could use a thinner board, you just have to end up putting another thicker board beneath it to hold the pins, to hold the armature wire into the base. So I recommend the cheapest way to do it, and the one that gives you the most forgiveness and flexibility, is just to get a good old 2x4. Now you should be able to get a whole 2x4 piece for just a few dollars, and if they let you cut them at the store, cut them up into even square blocks, square from the top dimensionally, so 3.5 by 3.5 by 1.5, and just get a bunch of these. I would say get like 10 of them for the semester. That'll give you something to play around with. You can even use irregular scraps. If you go to the hardware store, a lot of them, the smaller ones, will let you get the scraps. The one here near my house between San Leandro and Castro Valley, there's an Ace Hardware in Castro Valley, and they have wood scraps box up at the top of the hill behind the store, and they pretty much let you have, at least when I've gone in there, they've let me have whatever wood I need. So I'm going to use a couple of these blocks, and don't forget to get yourself a munch board, something you could drill into. So if I'm drilling on this and I go through the wood on accident, I'm going to go into my munch board. That's what the munch board is for. So if you munch it up, crunch it up, whatever, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, so there are hand drill presses for practical reasons. I'm going to just show you the two main ones you should get. So some of them will have a chuck, a little hexagon chuck that goes inside. So you just pull the sleeve up here forward, put it in, and then let go, and that keeps it pretty solid. Some of them aren't that strong, they'll just pop right back out. And then we have a regular smaller chuck here. You loosen this up, and so you hold it tight to keep it from locking from spinning, and then unscrew it and then pull this out. So this is probably what you have if you just get a small Dremel. So almost any Dremel will do for the class. This is the smallest, cheapest one. I'll list it on the site for you. You can get this one, to USB charged wireless one, which I find really handy. I'm doing a lot of my small detailing and carving with this size, but you can also drill holes with it. So I'm going to try it out for the first time today, but this would be the main one. I would get some sort of hand drill for drilling your holes. So just ask around. You got to have some friend or relative that can loan you a drill for an afternoon or whatever, and you just need it to put the holes in. So let's go ahead and center these. So if you have this cut square, if you wanted to be precise, I could just eyeball each of these, but just to show you how this works. So top down view, if you go from corner to corner and draw yourself a line across, and then go from the other corner to the other corner, here we go, and draw another line across, that'll give yourself a pretty good center for a pinhole. So when you're holding the drill bit, so go ahead and do from a side view. So just be careful that you're on a level axis. So make sure you're not going left, right from this direction, or if you're coming from this side, left, right that way. So you can check it from here and lean over the front and make sure it's straight that way, or look at it from behind and go ahead and drill into there. Now, before I do that, what I recommend for a lot of people when they first are getting the hang of using a hand drill is to do a pilot punch hole first. So just take your awl. So if you can find an awl, is another tool that almost any household should have one of these. You can ask a relative friend to get an awl, pop that in there, and you can just use your hand and go ahead and lift up a little bit, and you can just hit it with the top of your hand nice and straight like that, and that should be fine. Now if you really need to get aggressive with it, you can always get a hammer, and you can always hammer the top of it if you needed to, but careful, because you can tap it in too hard and not be able to pull it out. So that will give us a very nice easy starting point, and that way you can't slip, because almost always, even if you've been doing this a long time and you're highly skilled, it's easy to slip once this is going. So there might be different settings. There's a hammer setting on these. The hammer makes it go up and down while it goes in. That helps it to get through really hard wood. So you don't usually need that. So I'm just gonna go here to high. There's medium and slow. So there's slow. And that's as fast as it'll go. And if I go to high, it goes super fast. Now it should be adjusted. This one's adjustable. So if I just pull a little bit, it'll go nice and slow. And then I can go medium. However tight I squeeze, it's gonna go faster. And then I can go back and slow back down again. Okay, so start off really simple. Some wooden blocks. Make sure you can hold it firm. Don't get your fingers or hand anywhere near the bit, because while it's spinning, If you hit the side of it, it will chew your skin right off. It's not just the tip of it that's sharp, it's the side of these. This has what's called a scroll edge to it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and drill this in, and you can also mark the depth if you want to. So one way to do that is to grab a Sharpie and measure how deep you wanna go, and then just mark the Sharpie on the top of the drill bit. So I'll go ahead and do that just to kind of show you how that works. So if I say I wanna go in about that far, and I'll just mark my drill bit right here for myself. There you go. And it comes off over time, but there you go. See that nice little blue mark there? And you can also take masking tape and you can tape off and wrap the tape around the top where you want to stop at, and that'll keep you from going too far in. So go ahead and do that. And nice and slow at first. I'm holding it firm. Start slow, and then eventually I go fast. See the little blue mark is the little dark spot there. And stop, pull out, and then you go a little slower as you pull out, otherwise it'll spit sawdust everywhere. And this does a little powder, so I would wear maybe a dust mask and your protective eyewear to make sure you don't get sawdust anywhere that's sensitive. And I'm just gonna go real clean while I go here. Have a little dust, have a little broom dust can. Now I have a vacuum, but it's really loud on the camera, so I'm not gonna do the vacuum. So now I have my rod here, and I'll go around. You can stay there. Meet me on the other side. And again, if the rod got bent up or chopped or whatever, you can kind of straighten it out by hand a little bit. You could take it between your blocks on a granite counter and just roll it a few times. And here's that wonderful sound. It's actually worse than the vacuum sound now that I think about it. Just a few rolls and voila, you have a perfectly straight rod. Okay, cool. So we can pop this rod now. It should be a 1/8 inch bit and a 1/8 inch rod. It's going to be like perfectly tight. So what you can do sometimes is grab it, and maybe not with the tooth part of the tool, but with the flat part with no teeth, so it doesn't really bite in, because you just want to grab it a little bit like that, and then squeeze it, and then hold the block and then push down and wiggle a little bit. And usually that'll go, whoops, let me make a lighter out of me. Okay, let me that's surprisingly very difficult to get in there. I wonder what happened. Okay, well that's in there though. Cool. Let's see if I can pull it out. Yeah, you never know with, oh yeah, okay, that was pretty strong. So see, I bent the end a little bit, so I'll try the straight end again. Every wood and metal, you never know. Sometimes a soft wood can have a knot in it. Sometimes a hardwood has a split in it. And so there it goes. Now I could also use the channel locks when I do that if I want to get really precise. You can go in here and make sure it's not too tight, where it's going to munch the metal a lot. Okay, grab this, click, and then I can grab here and I can push down and wiggle a little bit, and that'll push it down into the wood even more. Now that worked really well. That's in there. That's not going anywhere. So I put all my weight into there so I could actually lift this up and move it. Now, this is just a quick, simple armature. So this is what is in the side of this little sculpt sketch. Right now you can always clip the ends. You can bend them into a hoop, a circle, if you want to have some head volume, if you have some problem with weight or something moving around. But you have nearly infinite ways of bending this simple single wire armature from the base and using it as needed. So let's go ahead and try the other one here. So I'm going to try this one with the little Dremel tool, which I haven't tried this yet. So let's see how it works. So this has 3 speeds, the Hardell. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And definitely with this one, since I don't have the leverage I would have when I'm holding this, I'm holding it this way or this way. And because of that, I really want to have a hole punch in there before I get going. And I just set my hole punch down somewhere. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So I'll just eyeball this time. Okay, right there, and just hit it with the base of my palm. Okay, and then 1. Maybe start off with the 1 just to see, and even maybe turn it off and get it in there first. Hold and hit once. Oh, it's loud. Okay, so yeah, maybe start it first and then go down. Yeah, and it's pretty weak. I'm pushing a little bit. It stopped again. And that's just how weak this is. So I'm just touching a little at a time and bringing back up. So yeah, maybe with this little tiny Dremel, you don't want to go more than maybe an inch deep, because it's just not built for this type of torque, and it's not that strong. And also, every time I go in and out and push, it's going to widen the hole just a little bit. So the hole's going to get a little bit looser as you go in and out on there. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that out. And let's grab a bit of our armature wire spool. Here we go. And I'm not even sure how deep I went on that one. It's probably only like a ½ an inch or so. Yeah. These out of the way. And let's see. So, oh yeah, so yeah, it's much looser now compared to the other one because I had to go up and down a few times. But that might be what you want. You might want to work on the armature and then be able to pop it off and then put another one on there and work on something else. So having the ability to take the pin in and out while you're working is actually useful, something you want to be aware of. So I'm going to go ahead and, so yeah, maybe use a stronger Dremel for that, but it does work. So if that's all you have, this one little tool, you can get away hopefully with almost everything you need to do in the class. So I'm going to go in here and, yeah, so that wasn't very deep. So I'm going to go a little deeper and back up and sawdust out. Grab my wire, get the flattest end. If I need to flatten it out, go over and roll it on the hard surface. Remember, if you roll these out on the hard surface, if it's not something like granite, it will ruin the surface. So don't do it on grandma's good kitchen counter or dinner table. There we go, so I'm pushing it down. And wow, that slid right in there. Cool, not coming out. Great, so these would be the simplest bases you're going to use to do your speed sculpts or your simple busts, waist up character explorations for assignment number 2. These small hardwood blocks, I'm going to go ahead and try, I think this is 1/8. Yeah, we'll do a little 1/8 wire in there. Let's see how that works. Actually, I could use this one. It's a cute little base. Small ones are great because, especially the hardwood. Now with this one, I'm not going to test it. I'm going to go all the way through down to the munch board. So I'll show you what happens. Down and go through, pull that up, and you'll see it, the little pilot hole into my munch board, right? So just be aware. That's what the munch board's for. And now, if I wanted to explore something like maybe a long serpentine form, perhaps something like a moray eel or a tentacle or something like that, right? I could really leave a long piece of this wire in here. And you'll see it's kind of looping through a bit too easy, right? So it just kind of went all the way through, no problem. And that may or may not be what you want. So you have to play with the drill bits that you have on hand. And we're going to go through adhesives. So I might throw some adhesives in there to help keep that from moving. We'll see how that works.